there's been a lot more focus on online. Everyone's stuck at home a lot of the time. So there's been a big spike in internet use, including by people who wouldn't normally use it so much.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So what we see happening, which I find very interesting from a digital perspective, there are groups of users who grew up super fast. So like if you look at the elderly, for example, they were like doubtful on it's not going to happen. They started buying from online supermarkets. They started sending out flowers for birthday. They started ordering cakes. So this whole new, not so sure about it, and the old ways were fine for me. They grew up super fast after in basically at an age no one expected anymore. They were considered the lost generation, which is not the case anymore. So if you think about that, for example, is this, they will not stop using it. So there will be a post-COVID moment. I think we either have a way of organizing ourselves, or we have a vaccine or something in between. They will not stop ordering stuff. So you need to rethink everything you do online if you want to connect to this user group, because probably things need to be simpler and they need to be, I would expect, less inspirational. So if Granny is going to order a cake online, she probably wants to get to the cake fast instead of reading stories about how the cake was sourced and how it was made and how much love we put in.
Maybe,
so
maybe
could be, yeah. At least at least it's worth experimenting with. So there's this new group we literally know very little about, and I think they won't stop coming. So there might be some really big growth there, because they're quite wealthy, right?
Can be, yeah. Or it may be that, well, actually, for instance, I know we've looked at getting sales staff to help more with online transactions to humanize it a bit, and it might be that.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Yeah.
Having said that, I think what we've definitely seen is a big drop off in sales in some areas. And I know you've looked at a playbook to come up with tactics based on your experience and things we've tried in the meantime that can help deal with that. So basically, if I'm an e-commerce e-tailer and I see, maybe not in all my categories, maybe in a lot of my categories, maybe I'm in a very unfortunate, maybe I'm selling tents, in which case I'm probably in big trouble right now. If I'm selling soap, I have the opposite problem. But for people who are seeing sudden drop-offs in either all of their sales in e-commerce or in categories, what can they do, given that we know that e-commerce really is the prime channel now?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. First is that we, at least amongst our clients, we see that e-com actually almost always is still pretty good, and often even better than they expected. You have to be, because like the whole offline channel just went away from one day to another, and people, at least part of the people, will find their way to online. So online, most of the times, or many times, isn't doing so bad. What you need to keep in mind, however, is that even though it is better than you expected it to be, it's probably not good enough to compensate for all the losses you have everywhere. So if anything, you need to look at what's happening in conversion on your platform. So you can't afford to lose any conversion there. So if the purchase flow is clunky, it's gonna cost you a lot, because these people, they're in the shopping mode. They need to go through this platform as simple and easy as possible. So that there's a big thing. A lot of it you should have been doing before this COVID crisis, but now is the moment to fix it, because those are expensive drop-offs.
Yeah.
Second thing we see happening is that customer behavior changed, right? So we just talked about all people showing up on your platform doing different things, and you will see different products becoming popular. You will see different combinations becoming interesting or bought in ways you never knew before. So you need to understand. So what's happening here? You need to look at what's happening, and then you might consider, I don't know, pushing products with higher margins, or getting stuff from that are in the same warehouse, so you can combine the packaging and sending it out. So understanding what's happening on your platform from performance perspective, and understanding what customers actually do makes a lot of sense.
The
Third thing,
thing I find really interesting about that is also that we generally model the future based on past data. But since this has changed so dramatically, so much of what we've learned up until a month or two ago is irrelevant. So it's not just a case of looking at your data, but it's also making sure that you're looking only at the most recent data. And then you have to be mindful of like, okay, how big is the sample? How accurate is this data? And what can we learn from it? And you can't rely on, oh, well, we've been doing this for a long time. So in a sense, your reliance on the new data is huge.
Totally. Yeah. And even now in the industry, you see a lot of people. So you have all your data collection in place, and then you get your junior marketeer to get it all out and have you look at it once a month. This is like a really bad idea. It's always a bad idea, but now it will cost you so much in turnover and opportunity. So look at the data, try to understand, experiment. So if everything changes, basically you know nothing, which is more than just behaving like the old way. So build assumptions, test, make sure you have your experimentation in order, and just try to learn as fast as possible. And the same goes for advertising. So if you look at what you could do with in AdWords, for example, you should review your AdWords strategy, because if people start behaving differently on your platform, they probably start behaving differently in search as well. So try to understand, look at the numbers, see what's happening in keywords. For example, if you're in cooking supplies, you might want to increase your media budget, right? You might want to so you see on TV, you read in the papers, everyone. So one of the things people do when they can't go out, they start cooking. So there will be a whole new group of people you can actually connect to, who are interested, who will be doing it every single day because they're afraid to go to the supermarket or even like it.
What's fascinating as well, I find, is the typical response in a recession is for companies to scale back. Costs are liquid, and marketing costs and advertising costs is a very easy one to scale back because it needs some cost. It doesn't involve dealing with headcount or stock, for example. But what's fascinating about digital media is that it's an auction-based system and it's real time. And so that if suddenly a bunch of people scale back on their marketing, the cost of marketing falls dramatically. And so in terms of budgeting and in terms of the value you can get, if you find the right categories right now, there are incredible opportunities to be had. You can get advertising at a cost that's dramatically less in markets that might be much harder to get previously. So also what you then typically see about very strong product launches and brand launches is the brands that launch during recessions that do a good job of branding can tend to be most successful. Companies started at the bottom of recessions have a higher success rate than ones that started booms, for example.
That's true. But keep in mind that they fail faster as well. So the ones that stick around, they.
So, but it's there are great opportunities, I think, there in terms of media planning.
Yeah, definitely. And you see what you see, for example. So weirdly enough, there. Maybe not so much, but I think weirdly enough that there's never been a cheaper moment to buy branded search. So just buy your own keyword, buy your brand, because it's the people looking for your brand are more high value, and they have a preference. So just put your money on the brand in search, because it will bring you return on investment for sure.
Yeah. Do you have any other specific campaign tactics or types of campaigns that you think work particularly well right now?
Brands will use their email campaigns to get rid of their surplus stock, right? For huge discount. So 60-70% off now or never. And result is that it will probably work. So you will get rid of your excess stock. What it will not do is secure your future. So once people are buying, if your loyal full monthly paying clients start buying your stuff for 70% off, it's gonna be difficult to have them pay full price again.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna discount anyway, you might as well use it to get new customers, so they get a cheap first contact with your brand, and they might be willing to actually buy full price in the second time. So if you think about ways to get rid of your surplus stock, you might want to consider researching using it, how you can use it for acquisition of totally new customer groups. It might just work. One of the other things you can do, if what we've seen, there's so many things you can do, but what we've seen is you still have these close community shopper communities. Those are filled with discount buyers, basically. So if you don't want to do any damage to your brand, you might want to use those close shopper communities to get rid of the stock.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. In case people are wondering, I guess, why you do that, it's because if it's closed, then Google and other search engines don't find the information, and so you're basically not putting your discounted prices all over the internet, and that's key. So it's
and next to that, it is contrary to what many people think, it is not crowded by people who don't want to pay money for a product. It's crowded by people who like a bargain. So they will be paying full price for some other brands which are not available on the shopping platform. So it might just get you a whole new group of future full paying customers.
Do you, in terms, because in our playbook, I know we touched on that a bit, but we also talk quite a lot in terms of content and story around essentially things to do with comfort and being at home and a new context. Do you have any sort of other suggestions around tactics for content when it comes to the context and the changes in context that are happening?
Yeah, think about what's happening right now. So we're doing a lot in the food industry, professional food industry, and one of the things you see happening is that restaurants change their business model, right? So you can't visit my restaurant anymore. So I started in the takeaway or delivery. If you're gonna change your business in such a way from basically serving at your own tables to bringing it to the homes, you probably want to rethink your menu as well. And you literally have, in that region, many of them have no experience whatsoever. So you have a business who've never done that. You have cooks who've never thought about their menus in that way. So if you're in this business, you might want to help your customers on rethinking their menus, giving them an understanding on what they should be selling, and how to handle hygiene in this respect. And so the whole, again, everything changes. What am I going to tell them? So stick to what you know, stick to what you do, and try to understand the new reality of your clients. In B2C, for example, you know that kids will be staying at home. They will be playing more at home. So if you're selling anything that is interesting or in that respect, just think about bundles again. Think about what to push, where to push, how to push.
I find that it's interesting as well, looking at some of the content strategies. There's been a big increase in kind of reassurance, comfort, home comfort as well. So I think from a successful content point of view, you really want to encourage people just to say, look, because there's a lot of initial shock and anxiety, right? Everyone's like, oh, this is really traumatic. Is this going to be normal? And then people start to realize, okay, I'm going to be spending a lot of time at home. So showing ways where people can basically reduce their stress and be more relaxed at home is extremely helpful, I think. So if you look at, very obvious example, if you sell shoes, then you should be promoting your slippers, and your content should be people with their family wearing them at home in a relaxed situation or playing games, for example.
As a brand, you're not relevant in all aspects of your customers' lives. If you're selling shoes, you could say, okay, we're gonna focus on slippers and comfortable shoes, or we're gonna we know that there will be an end to this, so you can focus on prepare for your first day out as well. I'm not looking for my favorite shoes company to tell me that everything will be all right.
That's inappropriate.
So that's totally inappropriate. And then that goes for many brands actually. So if there's nothing to say, you better say nothing, right? So either it's relevant for your product or it's relevant for your customers. But you need to be a bit humble on the role you have as a brand in crisis situations. So you either help or you don't, and don't step out of what you do.